This is question number 17 of GATE 2019 Metallurgical Engineering. In a tensile creep test of a metal, Nabarro-Herring mechanism is favored over Coble mechanism for you have given different options mentioning the grain size and the temperature, and then you have to choose the correct option. So to know more about the deformation mechanism in case of creep test, you can refer lecture number 1, Deformation Mechanism Map, part 1, from the course Creep Deformation of Materials by Professor Srikant Golapudi from IIT Bhubaneswar. So, if you see this Nabarro-Herring creep and Coble creep, both these creep are basically diffusional creep. So, in creep we have a different deformation mechanism, and one of the mechanism is through diffusion. So it can be either lattice diffusion or grain boundary diffusion. So the Nabarro-Herring creep are basically diffusional creep. So Nabarro-Herring creep are basically diffusional creep that involves flow of vacancies or interstitials and or interstitial through crystals. Right, and this will happen under the influence of some stress, under the influence of applied stress. And similarly, like this Coble creep is also a diffusional creep. And both this creep, Nabarro-Herring and Coble creep, both occurs at a stress like sigma upon g value less than 10 to the power minus 4. But if you see the temperature, so for Nabarro-Herring creep, the temperature will be basically greater than equal to 0.7 times of melting point. And for a Coble creep, the temperature will be basically less than 0.7 times of melting temperature. So this Nabarro-Herring creep occurs basically at a higher temperature than Coble creep, right? Now if you compare the grain size, like what type of grain size is favored for a particular mechanism. So in both the cases, like Nabarro-Herring creep or Coble creep, if you see the grain diameter, so grain diameter is basically if you denote it by d, so the creep rate is proportional to 1 upon d square in case of Nabarro-Herring creep, and in case of Coble creep, the creep rate is proportional to 1 upon tq, right? So here it is 1 upon square of the grain diameter, and here it is cube of grain diameter. So in order to in this problem it is asking the Nabarro-Herring creep mechanisms is favored over Coble creep. So if you see generally in both the cases, if you decrease the grain diameter, the creep rate will be increasing, right? If you decrease the grain diameter, it will be decreasing, but the decreasing effect of grain diameter will be more observed in Coble creep. So in other words, if you try to define, to favor Nabarro-Herring creep, the grain size should be larger as it is asked in problem. So larger grain size if you have, then this Nabarro-Herring creep is favored, and if you have a lesser grain size, then it is more chances to have a Coble mechanism of creep deformation. So larger grain size and higher temperature, these are the two favored conditions for the Nabarro-Herring creep, right? So if you see the option, larger grain size and higher temperature, which is option C, is the correct answer for this problem. Thank you.